in Lampsville, which is right outside of Nanaimo on Vancouver Island. And it's gorgeous. Our view out there is all that. You can see other islands in the distance, and it looks like maybe places you've been. What it makes me think about is the joy of simple things. And when I was doing martial arts a lot, I studied a lot of different systems and styles, and I came across a book. The title of it was Kung Fu Meditations. And it was filled with those proverbial pieces of wisdom that we often associate with martial arts and so forth. I'm reminded of that television program, Kung Fu. It starred David Carradine, and it was at least probably 30 years ago or more. Anyway, the simplest things are the most profound and most powerful. And yet, at least in my case, I've taken the longest to learn them. And here's one of them. Nothing that happens is a big deal. Nothing that happens is a big deal. What do I mean by that? Well, I used to think things that happened to me were going to wreck stuff, things like losing a lot of money, or things like getting sick, or things like even bankruptcy, which happened many years ago. I used to think in the impending face of something like that, the life was going to end. There was going to be catastrophe. I was going to be ruined forever. And you know what I discover over and over again is that it's not true. Nothing that happens is a big deal. And so a friend of mine, Steve Partisan, says I don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. And then he goes on and adds, including death and dying. And I agree with that. Nothing is a big deal. The only things that matter are what we create. We have two things. We have time, and you and I have exactly the same amount of time. Maybe not in the long term. Maybe you're going to live longer than me. I don't know. But in each day, in each week, and each month, we have exactly the same 720 hours in a month or 168 hours in a week. We do. All that matters is what we choose, what I choose to do. And I stumble over that so often because then I get stuck in the trap of I have to get this done and I have to get this done. And it creates a space of urgency where none need exist. And so that's why this morning, as I was reviewing this beautiful post and this celebration of many years together as a couple, I thought to myself, what I have is enough. And it always has been. That immediately sort of settled a softness over everything that comes after. What I have is enough. And it always has been. Now, it's okay to want. I want to do some more books. I'm finishing another book. The name of it is Living with Purpose and Power. And it's the conclusion of a trilogy called the Book of Context, Walking Without Fear. And the third one is Living with Purpose and Power. Those three books were spawned from the near-death experience, or the time that I died in the hospital. And I don't like calling it an NDE, which some people call it, because it wasn't a near-death experience. I flatlined, I died. I had 3 conversations with the divine, or with God, at the door between life and eternity. Those things are real. I saw them. I remember every detail. I remember the conversations and everything. And it was an extraordinary thing, like I never, ever expected would happen to me. Oh, I'd heard of such things, but I couldn't imagine that would be me, right? But it did. And after that, I wrote that book, Meeting God at the Door. And I detailed everything that I wanted to. There's always some sacred stuff that you don't write, but I detailed the majority of what happened in that experience in those 3 conversations. And then it sparked some thinking and some meditation and some stuff that came afterwards, and I wanted to share truths that I had learned from that experience, things that I saw and that I learned and that I know are true, and that I thought might be helpful to other folks. It certainly is helpful to me, but I thought I need to share some of this stuff because I want to. I love helping people. That's why I'm a coach. I love helping people overcome barriers and do the stuff they think they can't do, right? So that started what has turned out to be a trilogy. Meeting God at the Door, I guess, is kind of like The Hobbit. And then I have 3 other books. And the first one is the book of Context, which talks about how to change beliefs, how to get right into the nitty-gritty, hard beliefs that we have from our experiences all of our life about how we think the world works and all the rest, and to change those if we want to, because our beliefs determine our world. What we believe we can have is indeed a limit to what we can have. What we believe we can do is a limit to what we can do. It's only when we ask ourselves, what else is possible? What else could I do? What else is available here? That we work on changing those beliefs. Anyway, the book of Context, I wrote about beliefs because I call it a context straitjacket. It's that thing that keeps us wrapped up, right? And keeps us from doing the things that we could do, or we think we ought to do, and then we don't. One of the keys that unlocked my life is forgiveness. There had been a lot of things done to me growing up that were not right and not good. And then there were a lot of things that I did, failed relationships, bad marriage partner, partly out of ignorance, sometimes on purpose because I was, having issues with alcohol and drugs and struggled with depression and all kinds of other stuff. And so there were lots of things that I felt guilty about and everything. And I wanted somehow to be absolved of those things, and you can't. You can't change the past, so there's no absolution. What there is making amends to the best of your ability, and then forgiveness. So anyway, forgiveness is a big deal for me too, and I wrote that book later. But anyway, the first book of the trilogy was the book of Context. The second was Walking Without Fear. And this is the third one, Living with Purpose and Power. So that'll be done, I don't know, probably around Christmas time and published next year sometime. And so I want to do that. That's something else I want to do. And I'm doing some more music. I have a lot of albums I'm still working on. I'm working on the third one. The first one was called Name of the Black, and the second one was called Promise and Power, and the third one is called Oasis. I've got about 3/4 of those songs written and some of them partly recorded. So I want to do that, and I'm saying all that because what I have is enough, and it's okay to want, right? And the thing that matters most is what we choose to do today. So I made it into a little rhyme. What I have is enough, to want more is okay. What matters most of all is what I choose to do today. And that just reminds me that nothing happens outside of this moment. And I love thinking about a moment as a short space of time. And for me, I decided that it was 8.64 seconds. That's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day. That's 86,400 seconds. And I decided there should be 10,000 minutes in a day. Why? I don't know. It just seemed like a good number. Lots of moments in a day. So a moment is 8.64 seconds. Kind of fun to play with that for me. So I wanted to give you this thought. It's just been all over me today as I sat and looked at this beautiful view. And I thought about the things that I have, for which I am profoundly, deeply, inexplicably grateful, starting especially with my beautiful angel wife, Joy, but also each one of my kids. I have 10 children, and I love each one of them dearly. They mean enormous amounts to me. I follow them the best I can, and because of the struggles that I've had in the past with 3 divorces and rehab and stuff, some of them don't, they don't talk to me yet. And I say yet because I believe with all my heart there will come a day. So it isn't like things are perfect or like I want them. They're not. But what I have is enough. And to want more is okay. And that is so important, at least for me, to remember that I can be happy where I am, truly, profoundly happy. And at the same time, I can be excited about writing another book or making more music or helping another client or loving someone deeply enough to change their life or to lift or bless them. I can do all those things and still be okay where I am. And that was profound for me because I always used to have well, I'll be happy when a certain amount happens, or I'll be good enough when I get all this stuff done, all these certain things. And that isn't true. And it's a disempowering truth to limit your ability to be happy now because you think it depends on something you achieve or some approval from outside. So I'm sending you love and encouragement. Coaching is the people encouragement business. And because I'm in that business, I want to be the very best people encourager in the world and send out the most love in the world. And I love each one of my blessed children with all my heart. And I do pray for them every day. And I feel their heart and spirit sometimes. I hope you are having a beautiful day because you created it. Because we only get what we create. We're given this beautiful world an opportunity, and we're all given the same amount of minutes in each day. And all we take with us is what we create. We'll see ya. Well,
Germany. That's nice. German, I know. And Japanese.